Welcome everybody to this special episode of Ro-JoSports. I'm your host Rob with my right hand man. Let me bicycle kick it down to my main man Joe at the bottom of the screen. What's up, Joe?
What's going on, Rob? I'll hit across her back, see if we can get score here.
Okay, and hopefully we can keep from a red card of a stoppage this time on our recording for this. But anyway, we're gonna hit it with the throw in over to our special guest this evening, Ben Schenkel, coach, District 3, State of Ohio Assistant Coach of the Year for the Marietta girls soccer team in Marietta, Ohio High School, alongside his right hand man, Bill Mannix, who was named District 3 State Head Coach of the Year. How's it going, Coach?
Going very well. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. The
For coming.
accolades, my goodness. Talk about a duo. Talk about a special duo.
Well, got a funny story with that. This year we were lucky enough. We had a good postseason run. Made it to the regional championship game. Won't go into a lot of details. That's kind of a night we'd all like to forget, but didn't go well. Ended our season. Well, it just so happened the next day was the state meeting to pick the all-state teams and all the postseason awards and all that. Kind of the way it works is every division for boys and girls, you have your own little room you go to and talk. So all the Division III district representatives were in the room, and it just so happened that because we had the district player of the year, Bill was our representative at the state meeting. And through all the player stuff, got all that taken care of. And when it came time for the discussions of coaches of the year, we played Akron Hoban in the regional final. They put up, because every coach who is their district coach of the year, district assistant coach of the year, is then on the ballot for state level. And before anybody even started talking, the Hoban coach immediately spoke up and he said, I just think when we go through this process, we really need to consider the guys in Marietta. He's like, they're doing a great job down there. They've had a good run these last 5 years. And he said something that, because you have Akron Hoban, you have Bay, you have all these schools that are winning state championships, and battling in Columbus at Crew Stadium. He said, they're not working with the thoroughbreds that we work with. He said, when I get my kids and I get my 11 on the field, I basically direct traffic and get out of the way. He's like, those guys, they're not working with the same caliber of athletes, the same facilities that we have, the same resources. And he's like, they've been in a regional final 3 out of the last 5 years. So we really need to start recognizing that program down there and giving them some credit for what they've done. So, or the team that you just played the night before in the regional final, who we'll just say this one time very, very quickly, who Mercy ruled us 8-0 in the first half. That meant a lot to Bill and I and the girls in the program, that through all the hard work that the girls have done in the weight room, club season, all those other things, big names from around the state are kind of starting to notice Marietta, Ohio. So those two awards, it's never about the coaches. Bill and I would much rather the girls get awards, but those meant something to us.
Of course they did. And
Oh,
then go ahead, Joe.
oh no, I was just saying absolutely. I mean, that just shows how great of coaches you two are. I mean, the big powerhouse coaches are like, hey, look at these guys down here. Could we do what they're doing? Maybe not. you know,
Well,
it,
It's like Bill Cowher and Dick LeBeau, or that kind of comparison
yes,
type of thing.
yeah.
Um, so before we get into the interview of questions, okay, I wanted to start off obviously to introduce you and introduce the Coach of the Year awards, which obviously you guys so well deserved. Okay, but before we get into
Thank you.
any of the um, questions that we have for you. I wanted to give you this time, the floor is yours, to talk about the current fundraiser that you have going on at Jerry Brock Field, where you guys have hosted 551 total home games between you, the girls program, and the boys program. To me, I just moved down here in May. But obviously, just by knowing the Sloters, and some of the sports history, we had Coach Morris on here about a week or two ago, having you on
Mhm.
here tonight. The field and the program needs an uplift like this with the soccer program. Both boys and girls teams holding a Marietta soccer program home field record of 402 wins, 100 losses, 49 draws. Joe listed these stats, winning just over 77% of all regular season home games as a program. A postseason record 61 and 4, which is at 94% of playoff games, which is amazing. So I just wanted to throw that out there before letting you get into it. Just, congratulations to you, the boys program, girls program, to Marietta High School in general, as a whole. But anyway, floor is yours. Go ahead and take it on the new fundraiser that you have going on for the stadium.
Well, yeah, we are very lucky to have Jerry Brock Field. Virtually everywhere we travel to, the more success both programs are having, the harder time we're having of finding games locally. Last 3 or 4 years, both programs have had to travel to Wheeling, Columbus. Last year, we had to go clear over to Lynchburg Clay. Nice little over 3 hour bus ride. And the more places we go, the more we notice we're one of the few schools that has a soccer only facility. And it's something the soccer programs take great pride in. It's at the Marietta Soccer Complex, where the Marietta Soccer League has 14 acres of fields, by the river. You get an August night game, Saturday night game. You get that fog coming in off the river about 8:30. It's just an awesome atmosphere. There's no football sideline. There's no track. There's no, you got the fans. If you've ever been there, the students are about 10 feet off the field, so it's an awesome environment. We have our pool parking lot crew, back all the trucks up to the fence, open their tailgates. They're sitting in the back of their truck. It's an awesome place to play. And kind of what makes it even more special is being there with the Marietta Soccer League. Girls we have on our team, a lot of them started playing soccer when they were 3, 4, 5, 8 years old. And they have been around that field in Marietta High School games for 12, 15 years. One of the things, and I think Coach Morris mentioned this also, is it is awesome, and it still gets to me every time, just when you're down there and we're getting ready to start our game, and you have 20 rec teams and 10 club teams down there practicing, and it's time for the national anthem, and the entire complex, even the ones furthest away from the high school field, everybody stops, practice stops, everybody turns and faces the flag, and it's just an awesome atmosphere. Those kids know that the Marietta High School is playing. When their practices are over, they come and they stand by the fence until their mom and dad finally make them go home. So those kids, from the time they start, they're wanting to be at that facility. They're wanting to play there. So, over the last probably 4 or 5 years, we've started noticing a major decline in our lighting system. The system dates back to 1999, when it was installed. Donation from the Marietta Boosters Club, and it did great for, what is that, 28 years. But it's an old, dated. It's a metal halide system. It works off a heating of a gas, and it's degraded over time. I mean, it's just on and off for like you said, 500 and whatever games, and how many other times that they've been turned on for practice or whatever else. So the field has very uneven lighting. And like Bill and I started with the program 5 years ago. Even if you go back and watch our game films from 2021 till this year, you can see a difference just in that short time frame. So we started doing some research. We started talking to some other schools in our general area that had new lighting upgrades, talked to them, companies they used, any tips, any suggestions that they had for us. Then we started contacting some companies. They got back to us. We actually kind of talked to several. The one we kept hearing about is called Ro-JoSports Lighting. They've done Marietta College's athletic facilities. They did Warren, Morgan, Waterford, Ohio Stadium, the Bengals field. I mean, they do stadium lighting. That's just what they specialize in. So they actually brought a representative in. He kind of looked at our system. Luckily, found out that our infrastructure is still in great shape. So all we're really looking at is taking the bank of lights off the top of each of the 4 poles and replacing them with new lights. The poles are good, the wiring underground, all that's good. So saving us a tremendous amount of money. That being said, the project still comes in at $180,000. So we worked with then the athletic director was Cody Venderlich. So we talked to him, we worked with him, started talking about ideas. It was high on his priority list, and this, Cody did an amazing job. Not saying anything negative about him, but the lights at Jerry Brock were kind of secondary to trying to get a high school stadium. Trying to get all the sports team a stadium up at Marietta High School so we don't have to use Marietta College's field anymore. And I get that. Then this past year, when Cody resigned and took a job elsewhere, and then the school system hired Hannah Croft, we kind of approached her and we're like, this is getting bad. It's to the point now to where player safety is an issue. And she's like, I get that. She's like, I used to host games at Marietta College when she was going through the sports management program. She's like, I can see a significant difference in Marietta College's soccer field and yours. She said, but I need more than just it looks bad to be able to get the school board on board to move forward. So we took some measurements of the lighting output at Jerry Brock, and I'm going to start throwing out some words that I really don't know what they mean. I just know the words. Stadium lighting is measured in what's called foot candles. It is recommended that a high school stadium is between 30 and 50 foot candles at every spot on the field, and you're only supposed to have a plus minus of 5% all around the field to get the consistency. So we had some measurements taken. We actually took 84 different measurements in 21 locations, 4 different times. Tried to be as intelligent as we could about it. We did it with a full moon, no moon, partial moons, just trying to get all the different, and we averaged everything together. And out of the 21 spots on the field, we only have 2 spots that fall within the recommendation by the American Lighting Association. So we have some that don't even meet the standards for like a parking lot. Some places on the field are clear down to like 13 foot candles of light. So Hannah, then, we talked about it. We kind of got some more information together, got updated quote from Musco. And then she had us go to the school board. Coach Morris and I went to the school board in August, kind of presented the project to them, gave them our findings with the foot candle measurements, and kind of made the formal request asking for help from the school system. They discussed it for a couple months, and in October, the school board actually allocated $140,000 towards the project, and that left both soccer programs with having to raise the other $40,000. So that's the campaign we're kind of working on right now. At this point, we've pretty much just been reaching out to alumni, friends, family of current players, and everybody. We're getting ready this weekend we'll start sending things out to businesses, hopefully looking for a few bigger donations. So we've only really been running the campaign for about 3 weeks right now. I haven't got an update this week. The Marietta Community Foundation is giving us updates on Fridays. We're currently sitting right about $8,500 raised. We're pretty happy with that right now. Hopefully we can start getting some businesses involved, maybe get a few bigger donations. But it is set up at the Marietta Community Foundation, so lots of different ways you can donate. We do have a website. It's just jerrybrocklights.wixsite.com. And on there, it gives all the information I just talked about the lights, the history, where we kind of stand. We do have the Community Foundation provided us with a QR code that gives a direct link to, you can do PayPal, credit card, debit card. Also, obviously you could write a check and mail it into the Marietta Community Foundation. You can do ACH transfers, and by calling the Community Foundation, they can help you with that. All that information is on that website, gives you the address and phone numbers and all that stuff. And one thing that we've actually kind of heard some positive feedback from some alumni is a lot of some of our bigger employers in the area, if an employee goes to their HR department, a lot of the companies around here will match an employee's donation that goes to the Marietta Community Foundation. So we've had a couple $200 donations that have quickly turned into $400 donations. So, if you're thinking about giving, you're thinking about helping out the boys and girls teams, check with your employer. That might be something they would be interested in helping out with. So hopefully, we've got about a month and a half, maybe 2 months where we're going to continue with fundraising. We do have a time frame we're working under, and a timeline where Musco has to have the order. It's a 10-week production. They actually fabricate the heads that they put on the poles at their facility in Northeast Ohio, and then they're trucked here, crane, take the old ones off, put the new ones on, some slight little adjusting here or there that they laser light map the field. So they have to that process has to start by the latest the end of March. So we got a little bit of time left, but just looking at anybody in the community that will help. Something that we've been telling, even our most recent alumni, $5, $10, it all adds up. So we're not looking for $10,000 donations, $5,000 donations. I know our Bill and I's first class as a group, I think, and I might be off here, I think there was like 6 or 7 of them in that senior class. They've pledged as a group $150. All those girls are seniors in college. They don't have a ton of money, but, each one of them's given a little bit, helping out. So, we'll take, not to be greedy, but we'll take anything from anybody, just want to provide a better facility. First of all, safety. It'll be safer. It'll also be better gameplay, consistent lighting. You guys played sports, when you have a ball coming from a dark area into a light area, you don't see the ball as good as you possibly could. It's better for filming. We do both boys and girls programs. We live stream all our games. It'll make those better. It'll make it better for the fans sitting in the stands. So just overall, just a big upgrade that needs to happen. The lights that are there, they did great for a long time, but the system that we're hoping to replace was not meant to last 28, 30 years.
Yeah. So later on, make sure you send me the QR code and the website, and I'll make sure those who are listening to this check out our TikTok page, check out our Facebook page, and our YouTube page, and I'll make sure at the beginning of each video for this to make sure that that is the very first thing that they see pop up. So anybody who watches this on TikTok out there in the world, okay, sports lovers, soccer lovers, okay, definitely click on that QR code and look at the link in the information on the title and description of of this interview, and I'll make sure that that is on there to see if we can't, maybe help
Great.
out
Thank
somehow.
you.
You know what I mean? Um,
Absolutely.
so, so what? Going into the interview questions, I just wanted to go ahead and shed some light on the Marietta girls soccer program. Okay.
Yep.
Um, so the Marietta girls soccer program began nearly 30 years ago, 1997, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
All
Yep.
right.
1997.
All right, we're doing all right. uh, Sits at 316 wins as a program, with 17 conference titles, 16 sectional titles, 5 district titles, including one from this past year, right? Um,
Yep.
and this past season's runner-ups at the regional finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that
Yep.
says the program as a whole. This past season, you guys, the season record was 17-3-1, right?
Yep.
All right. So
Yep.
I wanted
School
to,
record for most wins in a season.
okay. So I wanted to give you the opportunity now to give a shout out to the players that were a part of that team. I want to go down through the list of names, okay, and then anything extra that you would like to spin on that, then you go for it, okay. But I wanted to start off first by mentioning Grace Spencer. I know that she got her picture added to the lobby right outside of the gymnasium there at the high school. Got to hang it up herself. That's a really cool touch. I like that you guys do that. But she was mentioned as first team All Ohio and Southeast Ohio All District Player of the Year.
That is
Right.
correct. Yes. Yep.
And then we have Elena Merrill, first team Southeast Ohio All District. Then we have Taylor Addis, second team Southeast Ohio All District. Caroline Cortopassi, I believe,
That is correct. Yep.
second team Southeast Southeast Ohio All District. Lauren Elliott, honorable mention, Southeast All District. Annalise Spencer, honorable mention, Southeast Ohio All District. Okay, so one of the things well, go ahead and talk about those players individually, and maybe anybody not mentioned that were not necessarily included in that spiel, though. I might be overlooking,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
absolutely. Grace Spencer, she's just a great player all around. She can do pretty much everything, with the exception of goalkeeping. That's kind of not her forte, but we luckily we don't need her to do that. But a lot of people know Grace for scoring. Um, as of right now, she's had back-to-back seasons. She was a junior this year. Her sophomore year, she had 27 goals on the season. This past year, she had 26. Her freshman year, I think she had like 12, 14, something like that. So she's sitting right about, I think it's 66 goals in her career. So that's what she's most known for. One of the other things that's impressive about Grace is her ability to get other people involved. And you watch sports, you listen to commentators, that's something you hear a lot, is the great ones make everybody else better. Well, that's definitely Grace Spencer. She also the past 2 years has led our team in assists along with goals. So that goes to the getting other people involved. She a lot of times is the focus of the other team's defense. teams come and play us, especially once we get into the tournaments and you get into better quality opponents, they start looking at, we got to shut Grace Spencer down. Some players, that score a lot of goals, when they're the focus of the defense, they can kind of disappear from the game. Grace doesn't do that. Grace accepts the fact that, hey, I'm getting double, triple teamed tonight. I'm going to find the girl that isn't being marked, and I'm going to get her the ball. So Grace is very, very good at adapting her game to whatever the other team's defensive game plan is. She plays up top for us as a forward. She also will play in the midfield for us and be a little bit more of a distributor. And then we even, Bill had a crazy idea this year. We were playing in the district final against Fairfield Union. 0-0 game for the majority of the game. And I think with about 13 minutes left, actually her little sister, Annalise Spencer, scored to put us up 1-0. We knew, just because the relationship we have with Fairfield Union over the years and some of the battles we've had in the tournament, we've met with them somewhere along the line every year in the district tournament. So we know what we're going to get from them. We knew, they were going to push everybody forward those last 12 minutes and try to get that tying goal or even game-winning goal. Bill just came to me on the sideline. He's like, you know what, Ben, we don't have to score. Should we just drop Grace Spencer back and tell her just kind of play as a sweeper in the back, and anything that comes back that direction that gets behind our normal defense, just get it the heck out of there. So, she even went back and played defense for us this year to help us close out a game. So the other great thing about Grace is she's fine with that. She loves scoring, but if it's not her night to score, she loves watching other people score. She's just overall a great teammate. The thing that Bill and I are most lucky about, though, is we have 10 other girls like that too. You mentioned Elena Merrill as the other first team player. She's a sophomore. She plays center back for us. When you look at her on the field, she's probably, if you lined them up and said, who's one of Marietta's better players, she's probably not the one that they're going to pick out of the lineup. But she just has that kind of that inside drive where, as a center back, you're not going to score on me. I will do whatever I have to. I'll fight, I'll claw, I'll push, I'll do whatever I have to do, but you're not scoring on my goalkeeper. She's very fast, so we've been able to man mark other people's best scorers. In Southeast Ohio, I will say we are blessed with more talent than a lot of the teams we play, just as far as girls with a lot of experience. A lot of the programs in Southeast Ohio, girls aren't starting until 7th, 8th grade. So they usually have one girl that's their scorer. And we have the luxury of being able to put Elena on that girl and then play 10v10 on people and beat them 10v10, because Elena's not going to let that girl do anything. Then you mentioned our second teamers, Taylor Addis, Caroline Cortopassi, both seniors. Can't express how much they have meant to our program over the 4 years they were part of it. Along with Lauren Elliott, who was an honorable mention, all three of them as freshmen played in the state semifinal that year when we made it all the way to Columbus DeSales and played against Waynesville. Caroline's up top. She's a scorer. She was struggling a little bit at the beginning of the year playing up top. We went ahead and moved her to the outside in the midfield, and our offense changed. We got her in a lot more one-on-one situations with people, and Caroline just eats people alive out there. Combination of speed, strength, foot skills. Our offense really, really changed once we moved her out there, and that's nothing's better sign of that other than, we set the school record this year for goals in a season with 97, and I don't have my numbers in front of me, but I think that beat the old school record by like 26 goals or something like that. So, and you have Taylor Addis. She kind of moved around as a freshman, just kind of filling holes, giving people breaks. And then first game her sophomore year, she settled in as a center back, and she's kind of been in charge of our defense for 3 years. She's kind of, I hate to use a football phrase here, American football phrase here, but she's kind of the quarterback back there. She directs traffic. She gets everybody where they needed to be. Very, very skilled. But what made Taylor special is the soccer IQ. She just understood the game. She understood what we were trying to do, and she made sure everybody else is where they needed to be and doing what they needed to do. So those two seniors, along with Lauren Elliott, who is also an outside defender, and also another senior defender, Colby Wheeler, was our other outside defender. They're going to be tough to replace. Between Taylor, Lauren, and Colby, they all three started since their sophomore year on defense. So, this year we were very, very experienced. We really didn't have to worry about our defense. They just, girls, you go do your job. We'll kind of make sure in the midfield and up top we're getting what we need. That's going to change. We're going to have to replace all three of them, and that'll be hard to do. But we do have a lot of talented girls coming up. So, Annalise Spencer, the other all-district honoree, she's a freshman, Grace's little sister. She kind of played both our defensive and attacking mid for us this year, and she's just kind of one of those girls that you could go a whole game and she kind of just flies under the radar. Man, she's good. She gets the job done, and even though she didn't score a ton of goals for us this year, I think she had 7. She picks and chooses. We were feeding Grace, we were feeding Caroline, we were feeding Adelia Burner up top against Fairfield Union that district final. We just couldn't score. We weren't able to get that last good look that we needed to get it in, and about the 13-minute mark left in the game, Annalise just kind of had an opportunity, kind of a ball, got it to Grace near the top of the box. They kind of swarmed her. She dropped it back to her sister from about 20 yards out, and she was all by herself. She just one time cranked it, right over the goalie's head in the goal. So that's kind of, it was the one shot she took the whole game. So she's very good at finding her moments. But she also had 10 assists for us, so she's that distributor for us. She's the one who kind of, as Chris Worf would say, she's the one that kind of stirs the drink for us. But then talent-wise, it goes on. A lot of other girls. We had a very good freshman class this year. We had a freshman kind of offensive player, Blair Reed. She scored 12 goals for us this year. Alexa Miller, who we'll kind of be looking at, probably is looking as kind of replacing that Taylor Addis kind of defensive quarterback role. Parker Wepler, another freshman on the outside. Jenna Davis, another freshman. So we had a very good mix this year of young and old. Something the freshmen learned this year is they learned the culture. They learned, I'm a Steelers fan, so the Mike Tomlin, the standard's the standard. They learned what it is to be a Marietta high school soccer player.
Good. Joe?
Man. All right, Coach. I have a couple things here. A lot to unload in the last couple minutes here.
I apologize. I could talk forever.
No, you're good.
No, that's all right. The first thing I was going to talk about is it has the feeling that the Marietta, this Jerry Brock, sounds a lot like Kinnick Stadium, Iowa. How it has like special field, like the kids are up near the field, and everyone stops at the national anthem. That's cool. Everything's going on in the background. Everyone stops and looks. I like that feel. That's a great home feel there. So I just wanted to comment about that. But Coach, what do you think determines a team's success? Do you think it's the chemistry, the scheme, culture, all the above, and what do you guys strive for the most?
Well, I think it's a little bit of all of the above. Obviously you've got to have talent obviously you got to have girls who know how to play the game. Something that Bill and I have tried to instill that I think we've done a good job of, that I think contributes, is, some people call it culture. We don't call it culture within our program. We talk all the time about Marietta girls soccer is a family. You talk about, you do whatever you have to for your family. And if my brother does something, and I don't get credit for it, that doesn't bother me, because that's my family. And we try to instill that in, we've been lucky enough that girls have bought in, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying about Grace Spencer and Annalise and some of these. Really, you can, when you watch us play and you watch somebody score and you see every single time, including the goalie from 100 yards away, when we score, everybody swarms that girl who just scored. So it's that family atmosphere of, we all have our part and we all just do our job. And, high work ethic and practice, every time you're on the field, every touch matters, no matter the dumbest little drill you can think of in practice to, that last minute touch you're going to have in a regional final. Every touch matters. Every touch makes you better. You push yourself all the time. And, so it's that family that we talk about, the person next to you, the person beside you, the person on the bench. You owe it to everybody. Then on top of that, we also can throw in the history. You owe it to everybody who wore that uniform before you. We came into this season with 299 wins for the program. There were a lot of girls that came before this team that helped get those 299 wins. They owe it to them. And then the other thing we throw at them a lot is all those little kids out there that are watching that national anthem. You owe it to them too, because they want to strive to be you. So you need to show them what it means. So it's just that overall family culture, I think, is what has kind of allowed Marietta Tiger girls to kind of get to the level to where now we're with the boys. Girls always seem to be like just a tad under the boys program, but just that change in culture, caring about each other, everything you have all the time, whether it's practice, some of the community service projects we do, like picking up the trash along the river road, going to the field. Just no matter what you do, you give it your all. The girls bought in, and wins have happened.
Man, that's great. I love that. I I hate to say it, but that's the when you said the do your job, I instantly thought of New England when Bill Belichick was there. They were winning all those
Absolutely.
Super Bowls, and it feels like the same situation here. You do your job, and you do everything for everyone else.
So, Coach, as I'm sure you've been aware of via social media, um, I'm a huge advocate for women's sports. Okay, Joe and I both are. Ro-JoSports, we're very big into women's sports. So that being said, you're girl coach, okay, of the Marietta
Yep.
girl soccer team. What's the feeder programs look like when it comes to youth girls soccer? Do you see the numbers growing and such? And in addition to that, do your varsity girl players or even junior varsity girls or players, excuse me, ever like throughout the summer? Do they go in and do they help assist with those things and put are there any camps coming up this summer that people should be made aware of? Things like that.
Sure. That we have the Marietta Soccer League. The Marietta Soccer League throughout. I think you start when you're 4 years old, and it goes through basically through the end of junior high. So U15 is the last age group for the rec league. That's all co-ed. So it's not necessarily a dedicated girls division or anything like that, but so they're all playing together. Then we also have the Club Ohio system that practices in Devola. The club system is split into boys teams and girls teams. So have pretty good numbers in the Marietta Rec League. our club numbers are good. So, we have girls who are playing, getting a lot of playing time, getting a lot of touches on the ball that are coming up to fill those spots as these girls graduate and move on. Uh, we do have camps in the summer. I know the boys program runs like a high school camp. The club will bring in a couple people over the summers for camps. We do. I mean, for those people who are interested on our Facebook page and our social medias, we put all those out there. There aren't really, none of those have been set yet. So I'd love to give you dates, but we don't have dates to give out yet. But no, there's usually 4 or 5 soccer camps in Davola each spring, summer, to get those girls just a little bit different coaching and a different voice from somebody else as well.
Okay. So I was given a couple of questions from somebody who knew I was going to be interviewing you today to ask you. Okay.
Okay.
So you, Joe, I didn't know this until this was brought to my attention, but Coach, you were a collegiate wrestler.
Yes, I do have a wrestling background. Yes,
a little bit. Okay. Men's varsity wrestling and football coach.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I was coached football at Marietta for 15 years. Kind of a funny story there. I had my older daughter one time when she started kind of playing soccer. She was 4 years old. She played for Bo Meagle, just another big name in the Marietta soccer community. And then after that year, she asked me when I was going to quit coaching the football boys and coach her like I did the football boys. So that was the end of my football coaching career. And then I started coaching girls soccer. So, and then I coached wrestling at Marietta High School for 12 years, 8 of them under Brian Welch when he was the head coach, and then the last 4 as the varsity head coach.
Okay. So how is coaching young women different than coaching young men? With you coaching varsity football, back in the day. So I coached boys basketball. I coached football. I coached varsity girls basketball at St. John's, a few years ago. And the dad of a daughter, things change.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They very
Yep.
much change your outlook on a lot of things. So not only how did that change your outlook on things, but how did becoming, this is another question from this person, how did becoming a proud girl dad influence and alter your coaching style?
Coaching boys and girls is completely different. But it has nothing to do with the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the X's and O's that Bill and I are coaching the girls and the X's and O's that Todd and his staff are coaching the boys, it's the same game. It's soccer. The difference is the people involved. Coaching girls is different. Girls, boys just want a result. Tell me what I have to do so we win games, and I'm just going to do it. Girls want to know the why. Well, okay, you say that's going to help. Well, how's that going to help? I want to know why it's going to help. I want to know the why first. And then once I know the why, then I'm all in. So just a little bit different approach. Boys are a little more, I know, Rob, you have a daughter, so you know where I'm coming from here. This sounds a little backwards, but boys are more emotional players.
Mm-hmm.
Boys get fired up. Boys go out there, rah, rah, I'm going to, football, I'm going to hit somebody, soccer, I'm just going to start ripping shots. Girls are much more cerebral players. They want to know the angles. They want to know the whys. They want to know, well, if this happens, then what are we going to do to counter that so we can, it's just a different game. Personally, I think coaching girls is where I was meant to be. I relate to the girls better. You know, my approach and my style, I think, fits the girls' game better than boys. You know, I think it's easier sometimes to get girls to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think once you've got them, okay, and you have to earn their trust, and once I think you have to build that relationship where they know this guy's got my back. This guy's going to do whatever I need him to do so I will be successful. Once you have that, then you can start pushing with the other stuff. From my days coaching boys, I think it's kind of backwards. I think boys, you push, push, push. They start seeing results, then they start trusting. Girls are the opposite. They got to trust you first and know that you're there for them and you're going to do whatever they need you to do for them to be successful.
You hit the nail right on the head with everything you just said. Just from my past coaching experiences, it's trust is ultimately the very first thing. If you don't get that right off the bat, you're losing battle at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You really, and it's really hard to climb your way back out of that
Yes.
for sure. I do have a couple more questions, but I just wanted to, give a second here to Joe. Joe, you got anything else, buddy?
Yeah, I do. This is a question we have for every guest, and it's probably my most important question that I ask. What's your favorite Gatorade flavor?
I was told to be prepared for this one, so I've given it some thought. And be honest with you, I really didn't even know Gatorade had flavors. I just thought they were colors. So my go-to, I go red every time. I'm
Red.
assuming
Okay.
that's like fruit punch. I really don't know, but I'm red. Now, if
He's the
there's
red
not
guy.
red in the cooler, maybe orange. Yeah, I'm I like tradition, I like history, but I'm not a lemon lime guy. I,
I,
I will pass up the yellow Gatorade and grab a water. So definitely 100%, I go for the red.
all right. Hey, that's fine by me. You're the first different one we had besides our host here, Rob. But his is like strange. His is like green apple. Just strange that flavor. It can't be a classic like orange, red, yellow. Can't be one of them.
Joe, there's another really important question that you asked some of our guests too. Something about wings.
Oh yeah, Coach. What's your favorite wing flavor? If you do
Oh,
have one,
buffalo.
buffalo.
Yeah.
Great, great. Are
Classic
you
Yeah.
blue
buffalo.
cheese or ranch?
Oh, blue cheese.
Oh, my man.
Oh,
See,
yeah. The cheesier and chunkier, the better.
yep,
Joe,
absolutely.
that's a first for you. You finally got somebody to agree with you
Yep,
on that.
yep, absolutely. Buffalo with the blue cheese, nothing beats it.
Nope. I 100% agree.
Um, all right, Joe. So, sorry, Coach. Judging by what's going on in the background behind your head there, you coached both of your daughters in high school. Uh,
I
one
did. Yes.
one went on to have a successful college career.
Correct. Yeah. My older daughter, Claire, played at Fairmont State. Actually, this past season was her senior year. So it's only what I'm going on about 4 months of not being an active soccer dad anymore.
Okay.
That's after a long run. 18 years,
Wow.
18 years of having a kid playing. And
Um,
then my younger daughter, Caitlin, coached her as well through club and then in high school. She probably was more talented than Claire. Um, you know, Probably could have gone on and maybe played in college also, but high school career didn't quite go Caitlin's way. Her freshman year, she got playing time. She got to contribute. And then going into her sophomore year in summer workouts, and I'm always reminded that it was my drill. Um, but we're doing some stuff around cones, and she went around a cone, and heard that pop, and she went down, and
Oh no.
lost her sophomore year to ACL. Um, Went through all that, reconstruction therapy, all that stuff. Came back her junior year. Um, you know, After a lot of hard work, she was one of our starting forwards on that state semifinal team, regional champions. She was our leading scorer that year, second in assists that season. And really, it wasn't until about early October that she really kind of got back to where she was before the injury. She throughout the tournament run, she led our team in goals in the postseason that year, and then the summer, getting prepping for her senior season. We've had over a year of her being cleared. Expecting huge things. We go up to a summer tournament in Strongsville, and she hurts the other knee. So it was kind of a thing where we kind of just tried to make the best of the senior year as we could, because if you have a major surgery a month before the season's gone. So we tried, just didn't work out for her. She was actually, I think she played in like 4 or 5 games, but just didn't quite have that high school career we were hoping for. And then by that point, she's just like, you know what, I'm done, no more. I'm just gonna go be a big girl, you know. So she's at WVU now. Gonna either, she's trying to decide between either physical therapy or a physician's assistant. So
Awesome.
her sophomore year is about over, so about time for her to make that decision, so we know which path to go on. So um, wouldn't trade a moment, even with that, all the bad stuff I just talked about with Caitlin. I wouldn't trade a moment of any of the years of coaching my daughters. I just, I'm gonna stop now before I get too emotional, because it's pretty special to me.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get those opportunities, and there's just have a relationship that it's probably a lot stronger with those two girls than what it would have been without all those years on the practice field and everything else.
Yeah, but I get.
So,
I mean,
Rob,
yeah.
take advantage of it, buddy.
Oh, I'm trying everything I can do,
Yep.
and be present for. Trust me, I'm there. I not to the level that you had, but mine's only 6, so I guess I still have some years to go.
Hey,
But
time will tell.
yeah, I did have the opportunity to head coach her for t-ball, and eventually it was her first year playing, and halfway through the season, when she was out the bat, when she was in the field, she was playing in the sand, but which is fine, chasing butterflies and stuff. That's okay. But eventually I had it to where I'd soft pitch to her, and she'd hit it off of me. So we learned the first year. What the heck. So I know that you might end up seeing her down at Devola Stadium for some of the youth league soccer camps. I know we tried soccer with her back at the what's the name out there, Joe? Up there in St. Clairsville. What's
Oh,
those?
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it. It's the complex out near OUE. I know where you're talking though. I don't know
Yeah,
the name of it.
we took her out there and we tried, but they eventually the funny story. I didn't coach her. I don't know the first thing about soccer. I know who Man United is. That's about all I got. But watching her, she was playing with the dirt in the middle, literally right in the middle of the field, and they actually had to move the kickoff a little bit over because she would not move from playing in the dirt. So that was 2.5 years ago. So I think you'll have better luck with her this year. She's a little more, you know, but she's in ballet and she's singing and doing piano and all the things. So trust me, I'm very
Yeah.
much present and everything I
But even
can.
having a daughter who played, all 4 years in college and actually turned out to be a captain of her team her senior year, I got those stories when she was your daughter's age too.
Yep. So we'll see. Time will tell, like you said. Um, so that being said, that connects to my last question for you. Okay.
Okay.
Um, how did you balance being coach and dad at the same time?
Not easy. And I actually will give my wife, Jennifer, a lot of credit there. And also my daughters. There were quite a few times over the years, and a lot more when I first started coaching them as opposed to maybe the high school years, but just reminded you need to be dad right now, you know,
Mm.
not coach, that's at the practice field, that's on the game field. We're in the car on the way home, when we traveled in the hotel or out to dinner, you just be my dad right now. Or my wife reminding me, hey, you're not their coach right now. You're just been their dad. So um, I did learn, they taught me well. So I got better on it as it went on, but it's definitely something you got to juggle and something you have to work towards getting that balance.
I think that I asked that question not only just to hear your response, but also to take in some of that wisdom for myself. So I very much appreciate that and knowledge given to me, looking forward. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Rob, did you have your notepad out taking notes
I
on
want.
that one?
I have been taking notes actually. Yeah, I have. And one
I
of
should have wrote a couple things down myself. I was I didn't know I was gonna have to do that. I was should be like, okay, let's that's good, that's good.
um. So Joe, do you have anything else on your end?
Uh, not really, Coach. Thanks for being on the show with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Of
Any
course.
opportunity we can talk about the Marietta Lady Tigers and the just how proud we are of the program, we'll take it.
That sounds great. I did have one last little question for you about the World Cup this year. Okay,
Okay.
I'm just where we won't necessarily get into particulars or anything like that. I just want to know what percentage do you give the United States of actually making it to in the men's World Cup? We seem to the women's always great, always great. The men's for
Yep.
some reason there's some kind of block there that keeps them from getting to that next point. I feel like the prelim, I guess, games going into it, I feel like they actually stand a better of a chance considering the teams they're against right now. Um, so that being said, what percent chance do you give the United States in the World Cup of making it to the final tournament games? Okay, just based off of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they start off in pool play, little four team groups, and then you can make it out of that into what they call the knockout stage. So your question is, can they make it to the knockout stage once they get to the single elimination tournament?
Mm-hmm.
I, I think they got a pretty good draw. I think they've got a pretty good group. I think they have a pretty good chance. Used to be a math teacher. So
Oh yeah,
Another
yeah,
that's what
win.
we like to hear around
math
here.
teacher, Michigan fan. Yeah, I'm Rob and I are kind of soulmates here, but I'm gonna have to go. I think they've got a really good chance. I'm gonna go 70-75%.
Okay. All right. So once, like I told Coach Todd, I'll tell you the same thing. Once we get closer to those games happening, and maybe we'll have you on again. Maybe we'll talk some World Cup, and then see where we're at with the fundraiser and things like that, and flash forward to this next coming season with signups and things like that, and get your expectations and
Awesome.
everything. So, but again,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being on the show. We've been looking forward to this for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now, since bringing it up to you. So we finally got
Yep.
it done. again, really appreciative of you being on here. Appreciate you sharing it, after this and such. And we'll make sure that we get that QR code out there right at the beginning of every video. So, and going
Awesome.
forward too. So, but thank you again so much for being on the show, and have a good one.
Absolutely. And thank
Coach.
you for what you're trying to do down here in Southeast Ohio and Washington County to kind of promote sports down here. It's much needed. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
We're trying. We're trying hard.
No problem.
Appreciate it, Coach.